and a point B, okay, with a value of A and a value of B. So this is like saying A is the name of the point. This lowercase a is going to represent a number, like -2 on the number line or 7 on the number line, okay? The way we determine the length, this is saying the length of segment AB, okay? The way we determine that is we take these two values, A and B, we subtract them, okay? So A minus B. Do you guys know what these do? These bars? Do you remember what that's called?
Spacers?
It's not spacers. It starts with an A. Absolute value. Those are absolute value bars, okay? Do you remember what they do?
No.
They make the number inside positive, right? So if I take the absolute value of -4, that is equal to 4. It's basically saying how far away from 0 are we? We're 4 units away. Whether it's to the left or to the right, we're 4 units away, okay? So if I take the absolute value of 7, that value is 7. So whenever you see those bars, your answer, when you take the absolute value of it, should be positive.
So even
Yes.
if you use a positive number in the bars, it's not going to be like a negative?
It's still positive. Yep, it will always be positive. Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, okay? They're asking us to find the length of ST. So look at this first problem. S is at what number? -4, okay? T is at what number? 8, okay? So to find the length, here's what you do. You say the length of ST is the absolute value of their difference. What's a difference? In math? Subtraction, okay? So the absolute value of their difference means we're going to go -4 minus 8, okay? You take those two numbers, you subtract them, and you take the absolute value. So -4 minus 8 is -12, and when we take the absolute value of that, it's 12, okay?
Oh, I thought that was a 1. That's confusing.
I know. Absolute value bars are a little tricky. I try to make them a little longer. We'll go like this, right? Absolute value, absolute value. Okay? Okay, so tell me, so now basically this is what that's saying. This distance right here is 12 units long, right? The length between S and T is 12 units. Okay, so talk to your neighbor and talk out what the length of TV would be. Okay, look at where T is, look at where V is. Think about what do I have to do with those two numbers to find the length of TV.
It's always subtracting, right?
You're always subtracting the two numbers. And here's the thing, you can subtract in either order because absolute value is going to make it positive either way. So you could do, say it was 13 minus 5, right? Or you could do 5 minus 13. Because you're taking the absolute value, you'll get the same thing. Okay, so try that. What do you get for the length of TV? Tell your neighbor.
It's like 8 minus 14 is -6, and then it'd be positive.
What'd you get?
6.
It should be 6. Okay. So here's what you're doing. You have an 8. Hey, talk about it later. You have an 8. You have a 14. Okay. And it's always the difference. We're always subtracting. So 8 minus 14 is a -6. So we're taking the absolute value of -6, which means TV is 6 units long. Okay? So if you need to find the length, just subtract them and make it positive. Yeah.
Do you ever do like more than 2 of the
Points?
Like you don't, no?
Oh, you'll only ever do 2 at a time. Yeah.
I can't write without my pencil. This is terrible.
Do you want a stylus? Turn
No.
your pencil off.
I like the challenge. It's
Okay. All right. Here's what you're going to spend most of your time on today, is this next little chunk here. It is called the segment addition postulate. Okay, and there's a bunch of words here that say what the segment addition postulate says. I'm just going to put it in my own words and make sure you understand what's going on. So segment addition postulate basically says if I have a segment, okay, let's say my arms are one segment, right? I can break that segment into two pieces, add them together, and it should equal the whole thing, right? So if my elbow to fist is one segment, and my elbow here to my other fist is another segment, if I add those two segments together, it should equal the whole distance between my fists, right? Basically, we're saying this piece, AB, plus BC, this piece, should equal the whole thing, which is AC. Okay, so AB plus BC should equal AC. Okay, the two parts added together equal the whole. Okay? Let's see what that looks like in a problem. Okay, directions matter, right? Directions are super important because the directions tell you the information you need to be able to solve the problem. So make sure you read the question well because this one gives you really good information at the beginning. It says if EG equals 59, EG goes from E to G, right? So EG is that whole segment. So I know the length of the whole segment, fist to fist, okay? They tell us this right here is 8x minus 14, and they tell us this right here is 4x plus 1. So I know this part, I know this part, and I know the whole thing. Do you see an equation you can set up to solve for that x value? Remember we said the two parts, so EF plus FG
That's what I said. Peterson. That's not Miss Peterson.
equals the whole thing,
Jefferson. It's a baby.
okay? All right, so if this is our equation, EF plus FG equals EG, what is EF right now? What expression represents EF?
8x minus 14.
Yeah, so we're going to replace that. 8x minus 14, okay, is my EF. We're going to add to that. What's FG?
4x plus 1.
4x plus 1. That's going to go here, right? 4x plus 1. You don't need parentheses around it because we're just adding and subtracting, but I'm just trying to show you like this represents FG, this represents EF, okay? And it says that will equal the whole thing. Does anyone know what EG equals?
It equals EF plus FG.
It does, but in the question, they told you exactly what it equals. 59, right? Up here, they told us EG is 59. So it's a bunch of substituting, right? It's a bunch of putting things in for something else that they equal. Yeah, Cadence.
So we have the answer. Do we have to like show the work to how we got the answer?
We don't actually have the answer yet because they're asking us what are EF and FG, like what is their length.
We have to figure out what X is.
We have to figure out what X is and then we're actually going to plug it back in. Okay? Okay, so this is your equation. Now it's algebra. Welcome back to algebra class. What do we do to solve for X?
Call Ryan over, he knows.
He's not in this class. I want you to know.
But Ryan's learning this like right now.
Good. What do we do? 8x. What does that combine with?
4x.
4x. So we're going to go 8x plus 4x is 12x. Okay, then we're going to go negative 14. Don't forget that negative stays with the 14. Plus 1
Negative 13.
is a negative 13
Oh no.
equals 59, right? So we're just adding together, combining like terms.
So x equals like 6. No.
Did you keep going? What do I do next?
Add 13 to both sides.
Add 13 to both sides. Good. Okay, so we get 12x equals, add that together,
10 out of 10.
you get 72,
And then you divide by,
then divide by 12.
can you not?
That's 6.
Good
I
job.
got that.
You got it before we ever solved it.
Sorry.
Did you just do that in your head?
Yes.
Good job.
Good job.
Okay, so x is 6. But again, we're not quite done. Because what did they ask us for?
What are E, F, and F?
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go back up here. And we're going to plug in the 6.
Oh my,
Right?
This is algebra.
This is algebra.
That's terrible.
So this is going to be 8 times 6
How about escape
48
from this?
minus 14.
minus 14. Okay, this is EF that we're finding. So 48 minus 14 is 34. Okay, so that's our EF. 34. What's FG?
24, 25.
Is 6. Sorry, I lied. You're right. 4 times 6 plus 1, so 24 plus 1 means FG is 25. Okay, so you're solving for the variable, and then once you know what x is, you're going to plug it back in. Anyone see a good way to check your answer? Google. Not on this one.
Plug it, add them together and see if they equal 59.
That's the one. So you have 34 and you have 25, right? 34 here plus 25 here should equal the total of 59 that they gave us, and it does. So that's how we know it checks out. Okay, the two pieces added together do equal the whole thing. Okay? Questions on that?
I'm just gonna rewatch the video later.
You what?
Rewatch the video
I
later.
mean, that's what it's for.
Sure, that's great, but I would love to show you another one too. I will after we do this one. Okay, last thing.
I understand.
And then we're going to go back and do one more of those once you've taken a little break from it. Congruent segments. Okay, does anyone know the symbol for congruence?
What is it?
Have you heard congruence before?
No.
It's a very geometry term. Congruent just means equal to, really. It's saying segments that are equal. So if the segments are equal, then the segments are congruent. Here's your symbol, okay? Congruent segments are an equal sign. They call it a tilde. It's in that top left corner on a keypad, okay, on a computer. So this equal sign with the little squiggle on top.
Wait, so that's what's the top of the Spanish N, like a tilde?
Well, that's called an enye.
Inye.
But
it's the same thing.
It's the same symbol, you're right.
Enye sounds better. Tilde sounds like a really gross witch.
A really gross witch.
Yeah.
Well,
That's funny, true.
I'm sorry.
You have good imagination, because I was kind of picturing the same thing.
A witch?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, this is going back to our ruler postulate that we just learned, okay? Our segment AC, okay, so look here. AC is from A to C, right? This segment right here. Is that segment congruent to segment BD? I'm going to go just below it right here. Okay? Now, the way we determine the length of a segment is we do that ruler postulate. Remember, absolute value of their sum or difference. Do we add or subtract when we're trying to figure it out? We subtract. So here's what you're going to do.
Are we getting milk? Dude, I love it.
Yeah,
I actually
and other things.
Hey, we can buy milk.
It's probably Mr. Vandermeulen. Yep.
That's all for one teacher right there.
Okay, so AC.
That's all for one teacher.
Where is point A right now?
Negative 2.
at -2. Okay, so we're taking the absolute value of the difference, right? That's the general setup. We just need to plug our numbers in. So one of those numbers is -2. That's going to go out in front. Okay, it can go at the end if you want to. Where's C? Be careful.
It's interesting.
Where is C?
Like 3? No.
No.
5.
5, right? Right between that 4 and 6, so it would be at 5. Okay, so now simplify that. The absolute value, what does this equal? -2 minus 5.
Oh wait, how is it 5?
-7, because it's right between, point C is right between 4 and 6. Okay.
Whoa.
What is the absolute value of -7?
7.
7. Okay, so the length of AC is 7. It is 7 units long.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that is so. You can do this in your head.
Okay, yeah, totally, you could. Now look at BD.
E.
Remember, it's the absolute value of the difference. Where is B?
3.
B is at 3, right? This would be a 3 right here. Where is D? 10. What's 3 minus 10? -7. Absolute value of that is 7. So the question is, are those two segments congruent? What does it mean to be
Yes.
congruent?
The same.
Equal, same length, okay? So we would say yes, AC is congruent to BD. That's how we write it, okay? This right here is how they will say AC is congruent to BD.
But we could also write it, like, I'm not saying that I would, but like, you could write it as CA is congruent to DB.
Yep. Or BD is congruent to CA, like any order, as long as it's the same two segments. Good on that? Okay. Technically, that's it for the notes, but I'm going to do a couple other little things here that you may just watch and participate with, or if you want to write it down, you may write it down. But let's say we have this.
What? Oh, the thing?
Yeah, I just need to correct it.
Huh.
I did mine about how to protest and
All right. Shh, that doesn't mean talk about other things, though. You guys are not going to sit here. This is not going to work, huh? I can tell. No, I can tell already. Someone's going to come sit up here. So this is our setup, okay? Look at this segment. I'm telling you AC, the whole thing, is 24. How would you find X? If the whole thing is 24, yeah, Isaiah.
Subtract 24 and 18.
Yeah.
So it'd be 6.
Right, so you're going to say 18 plus your X value should equal 24. So if we just take away that 18, then X is 6.
I was gonna add like a negative number to 18 so that it would end up being -24. And then.
Because you're thinking ruler postulate. Yeah. It doesn't, there don't have to be negatives,
Okay.
right? So I see where you're coming from with that, but don't force negatives in there.
Okay.
Especially when we're talking length. The length of a segment will never be negative.
Okay.
So we know this has to be a positive number of some sort.
So it's always going from negative to positive, like it's always going up and not down.
It's always, like, in this case, we're not talking about the ruler thing. There's no, like, we don't know where this point falls. It's not a negative something, right? It's just saying the length, the distance between these is 18 units long, and the distance between these is X units long. So those will always be positive numbers because you can't have a negative distance,
Okay.
right? Okay, so I'm going to give you one more. This one's going to be the tougher. If this is X plus 2 and 3X plus 4, and I tell you that X, Y is... Hold, please.
Alright, guys, stop.
Bro, she looks irritated.
No, I'm not irritated. I'm trying to do math to make this answer make sense.
I am too, bro. Sucks.
And you're you just say I'm too good.
We'll just say 30. I think this will work. Okay, so now this is your problem. This got fancier, right? Now there's variables on both sides, but they're telling us xy, so this length, right? xy is 30. How do you set that up to solve for x?
That case, sorry. Keep going.
How do you set it up? Remember, the two parts equal the whole thing. What are the two parts?
3x, no.
You guys are gonna make me, I moved to this classroom so I could leave my blinds open. That is why I moved to this class.
Why you started laughing for no reason?
Anyway, okay, tell me, what do we got? The two parts equal the whole. What are the two parts?
3x plus 4 and x plus 2.
Yes, so if we add those together, 3x plus 4 plus x plus 2, it should equal what?
30.
The whole thing, 30, okay? And then you combine like terms. Put them back on. Keeps taking his glasses off. 3x plus x is 4x, right? 4 plus 2 is 6. So it looks like this.
6 from 30.
Right.
And then that's 24. And then divide 4. Okay.
Divide by 4. So x is 6. Okay. Now you could check this, right? If we plug x in, 3 times 6 is 18 plus 4 is 22. Plug 6 in here. 6 plus 2 is 8. 22 plus 8 does equal 30. So then you know you got the right answer. Okay. Questions on that?